This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Some people displaced from Birchwood Terrace are seeing a little relief today. The province says it will continue covering their food and lodging expenses for another 2 weeks. Initial support from the Red Cross was set to expire tomorrow. CBC's Zubina Ahmed brings you the latest.
This is Judith Stanley's most prized possession.
This is a box of my son that passed away. His ashes are in here, and a lot of mementos from his birth and his life. And the only pictures I have of him are in here. And I got them back, so I'm very thankful for that.
Stanley managed to get back this box and some more of her belongings.
There's an elevator right there.
She's one of the 250 tenants of Birchwood Terrace who were forced out on May 9th because the building was structurally unsafe.
These are boxes that
Stanley says since then she has been struggling to find a new home that allows dogs.
There are some that are pet friendly, but they're like $700 a month or more than what we were paying before. And we just can't afford that. That's quite a jump. And then there are additional money for parking. There's some places it's $125 a month for parking.
The displaced tenants have been living in a hotel provided by the Red Cross. It's covered until June 1st. Thursday, NDP MLA Logan Oxenham announced the province will now cover their stay for another 2 weeks.
Our government will ensure that there is no interruption of services. We will be there to support folks through this weekend and beyond.
This news brings some relief to Stanley, but she says that's still not enough.
Like if we got an apartment, they're not going to say you can move in tomorrow. There is going to be at least July 1st. So, I mean, we're going to have at least another month in the hotel.
Kayla DeSorme has luckily managed to find a new place. She and her mom had 2 suites here and says it's been a rough few weeks finding a house for her large family.
We're looking around, and at first we weren't getting anything, and luckily we found a 4-bedroom house in Jameswood that we could live in. But of course, 2 of the families are combining into one because we can't afford to be separate at this time.
Oxenham told CBC the province will continue to assess the situation and assist people with relocation. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg man is warning anyone who has problems with Facebook, do not phone any of the tech support numbers you find online because you may be scammed. Something Dave Goudreau learned the hard way. The I-Team's Caroline Bargout has the story.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
In April, former NDP MLA Dave Goudreau got a new cell phone and tried to transfer all his apps. He couldn't get Facebook Messenger loaded because he had deactivated the email account associated with it. So his wife looked online for a number for Facebook technical support. Goudreau then plugged that number into Meta AI, a new feature offered in Messenger.
I asked the AI component, is this a legitimate Facebook number? To which it replied, it is indeed a legitimate Facebook number and help support line for Meta. So I felt it was safe to call and proceeded to call them.
The woman on the other end of the line asked Goudreau for the email address associated with the account, his username, and his phone number. And with those 3 pieces of information, she was able to unlock his Facebook. But then things got weird. The woman told Goudreau his IP address had been hacked and asked him to download an app that would allow her to access his phone to clear the hackers out. Still thinking he was speaking to someone from Facebook tech support, he agreed. While she was in his phone, Goudreau saw someone trying to buy Bitcoin and knew something wasn't right.
My wife was the first one. She said, hang up on them, this is a scam. And I was still hesitant because they opened my Facebook. So I'm thinking it's Facebook. But I did hang up on them, and then we proceeded to call our bank and the internet provider and everybody else.
His bank stopped the Bitcoin purchase, but the scammers were able to get into his PayPal account and buy themselves a $500 monthly subscription to Apple, which PayPal has since reimbursed him for.
Thanks for calling, Meta. How may I help you?
CBC News tried calling the fake Facebook tech support number too, and if we didn't know better, we might have thought it was legit. We edited the call down for time in order to share parts of it.
Okay, can you please verify me the email address of that account?
I'm not really comfortable doing that.
Ma'am, first of all, I appreciate your question, but let me tell you something, ma'am. You are the one who called me.
Yes.
Even I am not asking your name. I'm just asking the email ID to confirm that account. Okay? And if you are not feeling comfortable, ma'am, so may I know how you cooperate with us?
He then gave his full name and said to Google it. We found a LinkedIn account of someone purporting to be the head of technical solutions consultants at Facebook. We messaged him, and he denied having any involvement.
You're angry, and then you're shocked because they unlocked my account. I thought it was legit, and then after that, I kind of felt like, well, boy, am I foolish.
David Gerhard is head of computer science at the University of Manitoba. He says Facebook AI makes users feel they are interacting with Meta when they're actually communicating with AI, which doesn't understand what truth is.
You absolutely should not trust AI. It is a very powerful tool that makes mistakes. The metaphor that I use for the current state of AI based on large language models is it is a hyper-intelligent 8-year-old that desperately wants to please you. It knows everything about everything, but it will give you a wrong answer rather than say, I don't know. And that's kind of a problem.
It blows me away that they say that on their own app.
Gaudreau notified Facebook of the problem, but has not heard back from them. CBC News contacted Meta and also did not receive a response. Gaudreau reported the incident to police, and the Financial Crimes Unit is investigating. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Meta spokesperson responded to CBC late this afternoon. They said, quote, Meta AI can sometimes produce inaccurate information, and we are continually working to make it better. If you have a tip for our I-team, you can call our confidential tip line 204-788-3744 or email iteam@cbc.ca. Right on time for Pride Month, the Canadian Museum for Human Rights unveiled a new exhibit today on the LGBT purge from the 50s to the 90s. Thousands of soldiers, police officers, and civil servants were targeted, harassed, and fired because of their sexual orientation or gender expression. CBC's Emily Brass has more.
Thank you. A new exhibit at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights tells the lesser-known story of the LGBT purge, when thousands were quietly kicked out of the military, civil service, and RCMP for being gay. The museum honored some of the brave former soldiers who fought back, like Michelle Douglas.
I loved serving in the military. It felt like such an honor. But at the same time, I also had this beautiful experience of falling in love for the first time with a fellow officer.
That fellow officer was a woman, and for the military in the 80s, that was a problem. Then in her 20s, Douglas was taken to a hotel near the Toronto airport and interrogated, the first of many grillings over her sexual identity.
They had an overt policy that said if you're gay or lesbian, LGBTQ, you're out. And after multiple days of interrogations over months, I was ultimately fired by the Canadian Armed Forces in 1989. On my release documents, it says the words, not advantageously employable due to homosexuality.
A few years later, Douglas was set to challenge the government in court, but on the eve of her trial, Ottawa settled and reversed the rule.
I'm very proud to say that it was my legal challenge that formally ended that period of discrimination. So I've been at this a long time. Makes today all the more special.
It wasn't until 2017 that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau formally apologized. The CMHR says it's critical the story is told.
What's remarkable about this story, about the purge, is it's one many of us haven't heard. When we hear it, we're kind of shocked. And we learn a little bit about who we are as Canadians and what we might want to do to make this a better place.
Some 2S LGBTQ+ students say the stories inspire them to keep up the fight as their rights face new challenges in Manitoba and beyond.
I think it's amazing that they were willing to stand up for what they believe in, even though not many people probably were willing to listen.
I've experienced discrimination at school. It was just very powerful to hear that. I mean, this has happened before and people are moving forward to get change.
I think it's great that they're still fighting for this, because even though there were laws passed against it, there's still injustice.
The niche display will be expanded into a major exhibit next year, which will then tour across the country. Emily Brass, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, getting your driver's license is a rite of passage for many teens. Often, the first step in the process is taking the provincial driver's education program run by Manitoba Public Insurance. But getting a spot has left some eager teens waiting. CBC's Gavin Axelrod explains.
Some parents in Western Manitoba are having a hard time getting their kids into driver's ed. We spoke to one parent who lives southwest of Brandon. The school division there didn't offer a summer driving course, so she tried to register her son for one in Brandon, but MPI said no. They sent her an email saying the summer driver's ed course is only for students in the city. Alicia Grassinger is a counselor with the Rossburn municipality. She says a driver's license is a necessity for young people in rural areas.
They need their license. That's the only way. There's no, like with working parents, you can't drive them to a half hour to the next town to their job and then be late for your own job.
Another parent we spoke with tried to register his son earlier this week, but the seats for that summer class were gone within minutes. MPI says it knows the current demand for courses in rural Manitoba is significantly greater than the capacity offered. It says summer course registration in Winnipeg, Brandon, Winkler, Steinbach, and Beausejour opened Wednesday, but as of Thursday, those courses were already full. The Crown Corporation says its ability to offer driver's ed in communities depends on the availability of qualified instructors in those locations, but they say they're having a hard time finding enough of those instructors. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 30-year-old man was taken to hospital yesterday after he was stabbed and robbed of his bike downtown. Police say it happened around 8:45 yesterday morning when they found a man bleeding profusely on the sidewalk in the 500 block of Portage Avenue. Investigators say a passenger on a bus saw the man get stabbed by another man who then stole the victim's bike. Emergency crews had to use a chest seal on scene before the man was taken to hospital. No arrests have been made. Time is running out for the City of Winnipeg to finish upgrades to its sewage system. Department officials gave the Water and Waste Committee an update on the city's biosolids capacity today. The digesters that break down solid waste have about 6 years left. Committee Chair Brian Mays says the risk is real.
It's a concern because that's a very real deadline. It's not just the theoretical. It's, you know, if we don't have capacity to do biosolids treatment, we can't have apartments or houses or factories where our growth just stops.
Upgrades to the biosolids facility at the North End treatment plant are scheduled to be finished by 2030. That's the point at which the city's current capacity is set to run out. New industrial or housing developments could also impact capacity. Upgrades to the South End treatment plant are expected to come online soon. Hockey Canada says now is the time to shape the future of women's hockey in this country.
I think right now little girls can grow up and dream about playing in a professional league, have a hockey player as a career, and also dream of playing on the national team. So I think it's just an amazing time for women and girls hockey.
That's former Team Canada player Jillian Apps at the announcement in Winnipeg of a new committee tasked with addressing barriers in the women's game. 100,000 women and girls are registered in hockey in this country. Hockey Canada wants to double or even triple those numbers. The 15-member panel will look into how to make the sport thrive. It will release its findings this summer. Apps says the sport is riding a wave of momentum. This year's historic PWHL season just wrapped up Wednesday, with Minnesota becoming the first ever team to lift the Walter Cup. It was another beautiful day outside here in Winnipeg and much of the southern part of the province. Let's bring in weather specialist Darius Madavi, who joins us now for a look at the windy forecast. Darius?
Thanks, Brittany. I thought we should start by talking about those marine warnings that we were looking at yesterday. They've been reissued now because the winds are going to be gusting anywhere from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour on these on the lakes. Those highest winds are probably going to be confined to the south basin of Lake Winnipeg. But no matter where you are, just be aware the winds could be picking up at times. We'll have another look at that in a moment. I also wanted to mention that the rain, even though we can't see it on radar, is still tracking up to the northern parts of the province. Glen Lake getting some showers right now, and you can see where the lightning is striking. So we're seeing those storms start to move further east, but they may return at times to the northern half of the province in the next few hours and into the overnight period as well. Those storms will taper off, but the rain will remain. If we zoom in here, I just wanted to mention those warnings again. Beyond that, we're starting to see some more showers and some thunderstorms tracking their way east in the southern half of the province as well for Winnipeg and most major areas around here. It won't last more than a few 20 minutes or so before those storms move off again. So not expecting too much activity tonight, but you may get a little bit of a shower at times, and that's what we're going to see here. You see that bigger system start to track further east up on the top, and down here, not much activity at all, just some really scattered showers that may pop up at times as that passes through. Beyond that, pretty sunny day tomorrow for the southern half of the province, a little bit more cloud up in the north. This will start to move in at times as we get in the overnight period Saturday into Sunday. For Winnipeg, given the Pride Parade, good news. It seems like in the morning at 11 a.m., it should still be sunny, although the cloud is looking like it's going to be coming in around that time. By sort of mid-afternoon, late afternoon, it will be quite cloudy. There should be some breaks, some blue sky, but overall a bit of a cloudier day. At the moment, it is trending drier. There is a chance of some showers, even a small chance of a thunderstorm, but again, trending drier. It was seeming a lot like it was going to be a lot more wet yesterday than it seems now. So if it keeps heading in that direction, should be some pretty good news. If we do take a look now at how much rain we're going to get over the next 48 hours, overall, not looking like too much. In the north, we do see those higher amounts. And again, this is precipitation, I should say, not rain, because this will come as snow to some places further to the north. In the south, though, not much activity at all over the next 48 hours, which again, maybe a bit of a relief given the festivities this weekend. In terms of the winds here, just want to really quickly show they will pick up at times, but they will fall back down as well. We'd probably expect to see that wind warning come down probably late afternoon tomorrow into the evening. Things are going to continue calming down right through that period. If we do take a look at our skycast for tomorrow, we do see a cooler night tonight, but then coming back up to seasonal through tomorrow morning and into the afternoon as well. So overall, going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. A little bit iffier on Sunday, but overall, things are looking pretty nice. So we'll have more information on that later this hour.
Thanks so much, Darius. Coming up, one of Canada's most notorious serial killers is dead after being violently attacked by a fellow inmate 2 weeks ago. Robert Pickton was serving a life sentence after preying on women he lured from Vancouver's downtown east side. That story when we return. Convicted BC serial killer Robert Pickton has died. The 74-year-old was hospitalized in critical condition after a violent prison assault in Quebec nearly 2 weeks ago. CBC's Yvette Bren has the details.
A relief and just happy. To be honest, I jumped up and down.
Tammy Lynn Papin's reaction to word of an attack on Robert William Pickton. Her sister Georgina's DNA was found on his farm.
It was only her left hand, the bones of her left hand.
Pickton was serving a life sentence for the murders of 6 women who vanished from Vancouver's downtown east side.
I was very angry. I've been really angry like a lot of these years.
The DNA of 33 women were found on his farm east of Vancouver. This, the old Pickton farm, still fenced off, an old scar, hidden amidst new developments. Pickton was convicted in 2007 and has been held in a maximum security prison ever since. On May the 19th, he was attacked and stabbed by another inmate. In a statement, Corrections Canada confirmed the attack and said, "We are not able to disclose any additional details, including medical information."
One of the primary concerns I have, obviously, is around the security of these institutions and the men and women who work in these prisons.
Quebec Provincial Police are investigating the violent attack at the Port Cartier prison north of Quebec City. Advocates say this will bring up many emotions for loved ones.
I imagine some folks are feeling relief and maybe even some joy because some folks will view this as justice and others will be feeling loss and grief.
For Papin, Pickton's death triggers memories of her lost sister.
But she was a spitfire, like I said, and she did a lot of good things with her life before this happened to her.
She says that for her, Pickton's death can be summed up in one word.
Closure. It's closure for all my family, my sisters and my brothers.
So many others with loved ones who were killed will be grappling with their own emotions. Yvette Bren, CBC News, Port Coquitlam.
A defiant Donald Trump lashed out a day after his historic conviction on all felony charges in his hush money trial. Trump slammed the judge and the U.S. legal system in a long, rambling campaign-style speech. He says the fight to clear his name is far from over. CBC's Katie Simpson has this report from New York.
Donald Trump showed no remorse in the wake of his historic guilty verdict at a news conference today, justifying his actions and blaming his political opponents for all of his legal troubles. Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts of trying to conceal hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels so that their alleged affair would not be made public during the 2016 election campaign amid fears it could hurt his election chances. He says the only reason this was brought up again now in this moment is because his political opponents are attempting to hurt him in the 2024 election campaign.
With these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect.
U.S. President Joe Biden offered his first comments and reaction to the guilty verdict, saying that Donald Trump was tried by a jury of his peers in New York City, and he has every right to appeal the verdict. However, he did raise concern about some of the language that Trump has been using about the justice system.
Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict.
Donald Trump is free to return to the election campaign trail, but he does have to come back to court here in New York for his sentencing hearing on July 11th. Then the defense will have a 30-day window to file that appeal, which he is expected to do very quickly in the hopes that the verdict will be overturned. Katie Simpson, CBC News, New York.
A fire was set outside the doors of a Vancouver synagogue last night. Jewish leaders say it's the latest example of anti-Semitic acts across Canada. This week, police in the country's 3 biggest cities launched investigations into new attacks on Jewish institutions. As Thomas Dagg reports, it comes as Toronto police present new numbers on hate crimes.
Call the rabbi.
Community members rushed to put out the flames and call fire crews to this Vancouver synagogue. Jewish leaders say at about 9:30 Thursday night, someone poured fuel and set a fire in the front doorway. No one was hurt, but the rabbi says the attacker must have known that would be the time worshippers would be leaving.
It seems very brazen for someone to attempt this, and it obviously makes us feel very vulnerable.
It's the latest in a string of similar attacks in Canada's biggest cities, with Montreal police called Wednesday night to a Jewish school hit by gunfire, just days after the community rallied outside a Toronto Jewish girls' school, also struck by bullets, with suspects seen fleeing in an SUV.
And we should all be concerned not just at the attacks that have taken place, but about what's likely to come next.
At a public meeting, Toronto police laid out new figures showing reported hate crimes reaching a 10-year high. Anti-Semitic acts alone doubled in 2023, coinciding with the October 7th attack in Israel.
What concerns me the most is also the clear fact that there's underreporting in some types of hate crime.
Muslims also accounted for one of the most commonly targeted groups, with this suspect caught on video throwing rocks at a Toronto area mosque.
There's over 2/3 of hate crimes that happen that the police probably aren't aware about.
The Prime Minister said on social media, "This is not the Canada we want to be," while this Liberal MP rose in the House of Commons.
Enough is enough. Canadian Jews have a right to be safe in our country.
Both here in Toronto and in Vancouver in recent days, police have said they're stepping up patrols near Jewish institutions. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
A suspected AI-generated image of the southern Gaza city of Rafah is sweeping across social media, shared more than 47 million times by people all over the world. It reveals row after row of tents in a large camp with the words, "All eyes on Rafah." But as Georgie Smythe explains, experts say it might not be as impactful as people think.
These are real images of refugee camps in Gaza, showing the chaos of tents and the reality of displaced people who live there. But going viral online is this image, set against a backdrop of endless lined tents and a dramatic snow-capped mountain range, with the message, "All eyes on Rafah." It's been shared more than 47 million times, but many suspect it was created through AI.
It's most likely an imaginary scene.
It appeared on an Instagram account after an Israeli airstrike at a camp earlier this week and presents a more sanitized view of what's happening in Gaza's southernmost city, which may have allowed for the image to circulate more readily on social media than actual images of the war.
It's unclear if it was AI generated or not. We think it is. It looks like it would have been text-to-image generation, but it could be a very good illustrator using regular computer graphics and special effects.
The image also provoked the creation of this AI-generated image from an Israeli supporter online. Some are calling the All Eyes on Rafah image the latest iteration of slacktivism or lazy activism, when people support a cause online without making much commitment to it, like people posting black squares online for the Black Lives Matter campaign in 2020. Actions that can be genuine but often lack real-life impacts, say researchers.
Sometimes what happens is that there's this kind of peak of support and awareness, and then it fades from public consciousness.
Palestinians who want more awareness about the war say the AI-made image glosses over the realities of the conflict.
There's this feeling like, Palestinians are going viral, but they're also somehow invisible at the same time.
The question is, what happens now? The image and its message may have been shared millions of times, but its impact in the real world is harder to measure. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Coming up on CBC, criminals are taking a slice out of the bottom line of golf courses and driving away with their property. The latest thefts raising concerns in Ontario. Stay with us. There's a new kind of vehicle theft being reported across Ontario. Golf carts worth thousands of dollars each are allegedly being stolen. Just last night, one more golf course says it lost a dozen carts. And the owners suspect it's not just petty criminals who are behind it. Lisa Shing has the story.
They came in the middle of the night, and they had a plan.
Looked like one person would put the cart in neutral and push it out, and then the other one would get the other cart started.
Once the thieves slowly got 11 of these carts to the road, they loaded them onto a trailer hooked up to a pickup truck and disappeared.
Well, you have that violation feeling, and then you have that anger or sadness.
Since 2021, about 200 carts have been stolen from at least 17 Ontario golf courses, 10, sometimes 12 at a time. In one case, they took 45, leading some to believe this is the work of professionals.
To move one golf cart, some guy can do that with a pickup truck. To move 6 golf carts, you need a flatbed. You need to be, working as a team.
During the pandemic, supply chain issues meant a shortage of stock, so prices of these carts shot up, doubled in fact, in both the new and used market. This in turn has fueled a thriving secondary market, according to at least one distributor.
We've never seen anything like this.
8 of Rob Davis's carts were stolen from this warehouse in March.
Trailer parks, cottages, farmers, everybody that needs a utility type vehicle, is a buyer for used golf cars.
Davis and some golf course owners say they've scoured online sites like Kijiji for them. So far, nothing has turned up. With so many thefts in so many different locations, they're calling on police to find out if they're linked.
I'm hoping that the police services are communicating with each other.
The Ontario Provincial Police says it's investigating the theft at Settlers Ghost Golf Course, but would not confirm whether the others are connected. They also did not answer the other big question in the golf community. Where exactly are these carts going? Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
We had a nice day outside today in the southern part of the province, a little bit windy, but weather specialist Darius Madavi joins us now for a look at what we can expect this weekend. Darius.
Well, it's going to be another beautiful day tomorrow, Brittany. So we got lots of sunshine coming, and I couldn't help but show the dog forecast once again. Adorable little pup. Thank you, Tammy, for sending that in. I'm very glad that I got to be the one to show it. In a little bit of sky that we can see here, nothing but blue skies when the photo was taken. That's pretty much what we're looking at tomorrow, which is part of why I picked this photo. Tomorrow, nothing but sunny skies in the morning. Some high cloud will start to move in around noon, maybe getting a little bit cloudier at times in the afternoon. But overall, it's just going to be a few puffy clouds floating through. Nothing but blue skies for the most part tomorrow. So should be another beautiful day to take your dog out for a walk. I do want to mention the temperatures as well, because today in the south, you'll notice pretty much right around seasonal in many places, including Winnipeg, dead on where we'd expect to be this time of year. For the northern half of the province, though, quite a bit cooler in some places. Lynn Lake, for instance, at this time of year usually would be around 17, 18 degrees. Many other places here as well, like Thompson, also around 17 degrees this time of year. Tomorrow, some of those places in the north, as we do have that system roll through again, another arm of that system really, we're going to see those temperatures drop even more likely, so another 5 degrees or so drop for many of those areas. So just be aware of that tomorrow. A little bit cooler, not quite as nice a day to take your dog out for a walk there, but still should be pretty, nothing too serious expected, no severe thunderstorms at least. If we take a look at tonight's forecast, again, some precipitation passing through many of these areas, but again, because it is just passing through, I think this overstates it a little bit. We do have some rain coming. There's a chance of thunderstorms in a few areas, but it's going to be pretty short-lived as that just really quickly moves through. So don't expect to continue to see that into the morning, I'd say. From sort of moving from west to east is when we'll see that storm move through. So once it's gone, it probably isn't likely to return again as we get into tomorrow. Nothing but sunny skies. If we take a look at the north, though, this is going to last a little bit longer, even into tomorrow in some places. But then again, that system should be rolling off, especially as we get into early next week. It's looking a little bit sunnier, and you can see that here on our hour-by-hour forecast. Again, really quickly, just scattered showers moving through, mostly just cloudy for the most part for most areas, and then that's going to move off tomorrow. If we take a look at the south as well, nothing but sunny skies. So already by tomorrow morning, we're pretty much just sunny, so you don't have to worry too much about that rain once you're up and about. I do want to take a look at Sunday as well, though. Again, given it is the Pride Parade in Winnipeg, up in the north, again, Some of that system still trailing off, still lingering around, and then starting to trail off as we get into the end of the day, especially into Monday and Tuesday. And down here in the south, again, lots of sunny skies to start off the day. It's going to start to get a little bit cloudier as we get later into the day, but then that system will start to move off as well. So I wouldn't expect to see too much impact to the parade, especially if you are out right at 9 a.m. So overall, or right at 11 a.m., sorry. Overall, should be another fairly nice weekend.
Thanks, Darius. A 12-year-old from Tampa, Florida, has been crowned this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee champion. 7th grader Bruhat Soma spelled words most of us have never heard of.
Brouette,
Adelantado,
Adelantado,
hypercheme,
hyporcheme,
bicelium,
biscellum.
That's impressive, but it wasn't easy and it went down to the wire. Soma correctly spelled 29 words in 90 seconds in a lightning round tiebreaker to take the title. It's only the second spell-off in the competition's history. The prestigious trophy comes with more than just bragging rights. The winner takes home a $50,000 prize. Competitors come from across the U.S. and other countries, including here in Canada and Germany. The bill to establish Two-Spirit and Transgender Day of Visibility passed a final vote at the legislature, but not without 4 PC MLAs opposing. Coming up, more from the NDP MLA who put it forward and why he says it's important for trans people like him. Stay with us. Manitoba has passed a bill to recognize March 31st as Two-Spirit and Transgender Day of Visibility. The bill was put forward by NDP MLA Logan Oxenham, who is transgender. 4 members of the opposition Progressive Conservatives voted against the bill. MLAs Conrad Narth, Ron Schuler, Josh Ginter, and Kelvin Gertzen. Gertzen and Narth both say the NDP bill contains language that expresses support for youth often defined as young as 12 or 13 to have sex-affirming procedures without any stated limitation to age or parental knowledge. Marcy Marcusa spoke with NDP MLA Logan Oxenham about the concerns brought forward by his colleagues.
Should they be worried about the language in the bill in the way that you just heard it framed?
Honestly, Marcy, that's the first time I've heard the MLA Narth giving his commentary, so I'm kind of taken aback by many of the things that he said. Particularly, this bill recognizes trans youth as having agency, and it recognizes them knowing themselves enough to be able to vocalize and verbalize who they are. And you know, what we're trying to do as a government here, and I think what we've been successful with, is creating space for gender diverse Two-Spirit folks to feel safe and to come out if they want to come out, but making it very clear that our government stands unanimously with the 2S LGBTQ community.
I think you referred to it as Clause 8, if I'm correct. What would you say to those who support the LGBTQ plus community, but they have concerns about the rights of parents when it comes to changing pronouns or gender-affirming surgery, and they may be wondering if this bill could have been written without Clause 8?
I think this bill couldn't be written without Clause 8. I think we need to be on the side of our youth, especially our trans youth. And you know, as parents, you know, personally, I'm a parent. I have an 8-year-old little girl at home. And my job is to create the space that is safe enough for her to share everything about her with me. And I want to be very mindful and conscious of creating that space. And I think that's what all parents ultimately want, is to know their child. But I think, too, that it's our responsibility to create that space for them to feel safe.
Staying with the politics for a moment here, there was also some push that this, the language was that this was divisive on the part of your party to have it be a recorded vote. What's your response to that? Why was it a recorded vote? And maybe why did you feel it was important it should be a recorded vote?
Look, I feel like this is the same old party that we saw last summer that really took a shot at the 2S LGBTQ community. In particular, they set their sights on trans youth. So, you know, I think that folks, you know, have the right to vote. I think that showing, you know, it's important for me to see folks for who they are, and they showed us who they were yesterday.
You're the first openly transgender person elected as a Manitoba MLA. I know you said before that you've said this morning that you want to be an advocate for youth. Why is it important to you to you know, have a designated day like this that recognizes transgender youth in Manitoba, and how did it feel to see it pass?
I think it's important to see a bill like this recognizing folks in Manitoba, particularly youth, because, you know, youth have been really under attack for a long time. The trans community has been under attack by politicians mostly, and you know, so I'm really proud to be part of a team. I think a diverse team that's truly a reflection of the province that we serve. And so putting a bill forward and having it pass like this, I think it's really meaningful towards the community because it really affirms their existence. It affirms, you know, the right to have agency over yourself and to, you know, choose to live your life, and not just to acknowledge, but also to lift up and celebrate the Two-Spirit and trans community. And, you know, folks who pay attention to the news might see that, the trans community has been under attack, but this bill, I believe, provides us an opportunity to really lift up, amplify, and celebrate the Two-Spirit and trans community.
What do we understand about other provinces when it comes to having days like this to recognize the transgender community? Like, how do we compare with other jurisdictions?
I believe we're the leaders in the pack in terms of recognition and acknowledging Two-Spirit and transgender people. I know that there's a long way to go across the country, and I'm hoping that by passing this bill, that we could be a beacon to others. I know that I speak with trans folks here in Manitoba, rural Manitoba, but I also have folks from across the country reaching out to me and just saying that although their situations in their province is really dire, they feel some hope by looking at Manitoba. They feel hope by seeing what we're accomplishing here in terms of rights for marginalized people. And I think to be a glimmer of hope in a time like this, I think means a lot to people, and I'm really proud to share that with folks.
What would having a day like this have meant to you as a young person?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think it would have given me the words to explain to everyone around me who I was. It would have given me the courage, I think, to name what it is. And if that space would have been created for me as a youth, I guess I could try and imagine what my life would look like today. But yeah, I think I would be proud as a youth.
What's it like for you to be a representative in the legislature? And I mean, there's this conversation going on about parental rights. It continues, and transgender kids. There's protests on both sides. What do you hear from young people in the LGBTQ plus community about education and awareness in schools? And then you're obviously also trying to balance. I mean, some parents out there that parents are always concerned about their kids. They're worried about their kids talking to them. They're worried about their kids sharing with them. They do become worried about all kinds of things, especially at those ages and those teenage ages where all of us should be standing up and finding our identities and owning ourselves. But parents are worried that they're not going to be involved in the conversations. How difficult is it for you to walk through these conversations and try to keep everything inclusive?
Well, it's definitely a challenge, Marcy, because, I am trans and I'm also a parent. So, I do empathize with parents out there who, as parents, we love our children and we want what's best for them. And I know it's hard in a world that is showing folks that, trans people exist. And yet there are folks out there who are trying to say that we shouldn't exist, and I think balancing that with, making sure that children and kids know that they have an ally is tricky. But I take it, it's a huge privilege to be in this position. And I just really hope to have conversations and talk to parents on any side of this debate, and try to, engage in a meaningful conversation where we, folks can walk away more informed, and hopefully that, just sets the stage for them to create that space at home where their children feel safe to come out.
And of course, it is Pride Week, and if you're heading out to any Pride events this weekend, we'll get your last look at the forecast with Darius Madavi when we come back. Stay with us.
If you're in the southern half of the province, especially here in Winnipeg, we're going to have a beautiful weekend. There might be some rain coming later in the day on Sunday, but it's by no means guaranteed. It's just going to be some scattered showers. There's a slight risk of a thunderstorm, but I think many of those sources are overplaying it a little bit. I wouldn't expect to see anything serious or long-lasting, really just moving off pretty quickly, sort of Sunday late afternoon into the evening. Other than that, though, sunny tomorrow, mostly sunny on Sunday, sunny on Monday. It's not until we get into mid next week that we start to see some showers.
Thanks, Darius. A family in London, Ontario has managed to capture a rare creature right on their driveway. A bear trap or even an animal snare would have been useless because it's too small for either. The family found a rare pink grasshopper. Your Daily Lift is 5-year-old Jack Seed describing how he met Bubbles.
So we found this grasshopper, you can see, and just like come over here, come over here. You can see there, look at him. That's like the wild. So I came home from school and my dad said, oh, there's a pink grasshopper, come. And we know it was really rare, so we put it in a container and filled it up with stuff. Here, I'll tell you a story. When I came home from school, I'll show you where it is. We found the grasshopper right in this spot, right here. You can see the pink grasshopper right there. It's growing there. This is the first time me seeing this grasshopper right there, and it's like really rare. And I thought it was like not even real. And I thought it was just a legend and not true.
See, a perfect way to end your week, and I think Bubbles would fit in at Pride. That is happening this weekend. We wish you a happy Pride. Riley Lachek will be back beside me. We'll see you here on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.